Hey there, everyone. I am here virtually today with Lisa Takancic-Salamat from the class of '92 at Notre Dame College. I had a lovely dinner in Chevy Chase, Maryland, when I was traveling a couple weeks ago with Lisa and her husband, Kevin. And I was just so fascinated with the life that she led, beginning with her time at Notre Dame. And for me, it's about the kind of the beauty of education. So Lisa, tell us a little bit
Hey,
about your journey.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me. And it was
Well,
a lovely, lovely dinner. So I started out at Notre Dame in 1987 as a WECO student at the time. And it was a phenomenal program. I ended up majoring in English. So
mhm.
deviated from that program slightly once I got to those classes. And it changed my life in ways that are even for me to articulate, because within the English department I was introduced to an author, a French author, writer, philosopher, who I never knew existed, Albert Camus, who is still a part of my life. I'll explain that later. And needing the language requirement, I was a Spanish major in high school and decided to do French,
Mhm.
and was introduced to Sister Marianne Weber, who was the head of the French department at the time. And I was lucky enough to be one of those students that she took to Paris to study at the University of the Sorbonne for a semester. And I was doing this later in life too, and it was the most unbelievable experience
Wow.
of my young adult life.
Right.
So started at 25, finished at 30. But the experience with Notre Dame, Paris, the introduction to Camus led me to my graduate work at John Carroll. I have a graduate degree in humanities philosophy and wrote my master's thesis on Albert Camus. And at the same time, I was working for the Meridia Health System and was a member of their bioethics committees. And during that time, the Meridia Hospital System was being bought by the Cleveland Clinic, and they were merging, and I was hoping to settle in at the Cleveland Clinic. Things didn't work out quite that way. But when I finished up my graduate work at John Carroll, my thesis director recommended, because I wanted to stay in the field of ethics, bioethics, recommended a law degree versus a PhD in ethics.
Oh, interesting.
With all things considered, right? My age, marketability. What are you going to do with that? These are all things you have to consider,
Yeah.
especially later in life when you're going back to school. Can I parlay all this wonderful education into a career or certain types of work outside of teaching? So you need to think about those things. However, I would never say to anyone, do not go to school, do not attend college. I think the liberal arts education that I started out with helped me build not only professionally, but in my academic studies as I went forward. So
Right.
I did end up attending law school at Cleveland Marshall. Again,
Mhm.
phenomenal, met phenomenal people in my life and everything. And as things started to change and I finished up law school, I decided I wanted to go to Washington because I
Mhm.
wanted to get involved in the field of specifically big cat conservation. And I ended up at the Library of Congress for a
Mhm.
year. I was in the law library research division and met phenomenal people there who still are a part of my life, a part of other committees and different works and the nonprofit I started. And so this whole journey began at Notre Dame, and it
Wow.
was just incredible
Well, it's
and still
interesting.
going.
Your journey is so interesting, and your journey's not over, which I find fascinating. You shared with me the first of what you will be a series of 5 children's books
Right?
about Miss Allie, the cat, that you've
Yep.
written under a pseudonym. So you've
Mhm.
got that, and then to top
Yep.
it off, you've decided to be an EMT at this point in
Right.
your life. So what inspired
Yeah.
that?
So, you reach a point in your life, and I think other people can relate to this too. COVID really changed
Hmm.
people in profound ways, I think. And it changed people, some people the same, some people others. getting on in years myself and wanting to always give something back. I was always a volunteer in some capacity. I worked at the National Zoo, at the Cheetah Station. I worked at Nat Geo. I've always tried to do some sort of volunteer service to give back to the community, the nonprofit. And when COVID hit and things started to change and you settle down, I got very into my own health and fitness, and my husband too. And in looking for things to do, I decided who really needs help, and that's first responders. That's EMT. That's the firehouse, and a lot of people, because of COVID initially and all the stress and strain, left the field or were heading for retirement, and that was the push they needed. And so I did. I thought, what a better way to bring again all my experience and education together and give back to the community in a really meaningful way where it's needed.
That's great.
And so ended up starting in April.
And again, we talk to our students, our current students, about the power of the liberal arts, and you are like a poster child for that, right? You took
Right.
an English degree, a philosophy degree, a law degree, and your interest in nature and conservation, your interest in writing stories, you're interested in serving others. I think that's what we try to do at Notre Dame still today, instill that spirit of inquiry and service into the hearts of our students. So I thank you for being a great example. Thank you, Lisa, for what you do.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, good. Well, as always, everyone, be well, be safe, and go Falcons. And thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.